Ladies and gentlemen, last year, right before November, right before people were going to vote, there was a story from the New York Post, a groundbreaking story about emails. Emails that were dropped off at a computer repair store by perhaps somebody in a drunken stupor. Who knows? I mean, who could be so irresponsible as to just leave and forget a laptop with incriminating evidence that would incriminate you and everyone you work with, the vice president, the future president, the most popular candidate of all time, maybe because all of media worked to suppress information. That's why nobody trusts media in general. Most Republicans, the vast majority, do not trust media because media covers and suppresses for the Democratic Party. That's why they were petrified. They were petrified over the Hunter Biden story. They actively suppressed and tried to hide a story detrimental to Democrats. They always do this. Now, Politico confirmed the accuracy of the story that almost certainly these emails belong to Hunter, and if they almost certainly do, and the fact that these emails are incriminating points to, as the Wall Street Journal stated today, selling access, or just an hour ago, selling access is a scandal about Joe Biden, not Hunter. Well, actually, it's a scandal about both. Politico sends New York Post reporting on the big guy, the big man. Last year, New York Post reports about Biden family enrichment schemes were dismissed by old media firms as suppressed by new media firms. Old or new, the press corps. And by the way, Twitter works for the Democratic Party. You don't like the difference between media, state-run media in China and media in the United States of America is that there is no direct contractual obligation between Twitter and CNN with the Democratic National Committee. They just do the DNC's bidding on their own. They're all lifelong Democrats. And I learned this when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Eric, H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. If you want to go ahead and support this channel, my super chat is below. It's right next to. It's right when you go ahead and write something in the chat. There's the icon for the super chat right below, right next to where you send the message. So if you do want to, support this channel, your super chat is greatly appreciated. I can't do it without you. These live streams. Ladies and gentlemen, look, Trump has run a 40-yard dash in 4.2 seconds. He runs a 4.240, and he does so with a 100-pound backpack. Okay? And if you're into football or the NFL or the combine, you'll understand what I'm talking about. He not only defeated Clinton with the most apoplectic, hysterical, irrational media coverage, saying that he would cause a financial collapse globally, which, by the way, that was Democrats and people like Biden who are oblivious to the upcoming stock market crash. And I started a stock market crash channel. Literally, that's the name. I'll put the link in the chat right now, and the link will be below. But, ladies and gentlemen, $4.5 trillion added to the national debt last year because of the most irrational response, the most irresponsible and irrational response to a very serious crisis globally. You cannot prevent Americans from working. You cannot stop the United States economy from functioning The people who did this type of mentality is the brainchild of absolute maniacs, like serious maniacs. You cannot say, well, we want to save people, so we're going to cause an eviction crisis. We're going to cause an inflation, soaring inflation that is not going to end. You cannot do that. And because you had people who wanted to save, who I guess, let's just say they had good intentions, yeah, right. They certainly didn't have any intention to harm Trump politically. You had people, Democrats, experts, expert consensus. That's what Jerome Powell said. It was an expert consensus. It was a consensus among all the Federal Reserve officials that they're going to hold off on tapering and they're going to continue the purchase of $120 billion of bonds, government bonds, every month to promote liquidity and to add money into the economy. And they're going to hold off on tapering, and they're going to refrain from cutting back on purchasing those bonds, and they're going to continue the quantitative easing. And they need to engage in quantitative easing, and they need to pump as much money into the economy as possible. One out of every $5 was essentially created by the Federal Reserve through the QE. And they can't begin tapering because we still have high unemployment. We have GDP revised downwards. We have inflation that's soaring. We have a stock market that will absolutely collapse. It will crash. It's just a matter of the catalyst. The stock market cannot, the economy cannot accept the Federal Reserve actually engaging in tapering. They can't. They're too petrified. They can't accept it. That's why Jerome Powell said, well, it's always an expert consensus. And you listen to Jerome Powell, at least like Greenspan started all of this, but at least when you hear Greenspan, it's like this sage, wise, older person. Whether how much wisdom he possessed is another story, but when you listen to Jerome Powell, it's just like listening to Anthony Blinken, bumbling Blinken. It's like everyone in that is hot. They're highly polished, highly educated, absolute imbeciles and buffoons. Jerome Powell, he's obviously very, admired or a great economist. You have to be the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Does he possess wisdom? I don't know. You tell me. Do you think the Federal Reserve possesses a great deal of wisdom? You tell me. Do you think that you think media and Democrats would have prevented the opening up of our economy or even pushed for our economy to come to a screeching halt were it not for the ability to just pump liquidity and money into the economy without any repercussions at all? Do you think that we would be able to do something like that without the Federal Reserve? I mean, we wouldn't have engaged in a 20-year wars. We definitely wouldn't have engaged in 20-year wars. That's for sure. So, but anyway, that's another story. I mean, look, you have people who suppress. You have social media companies that are working alongside one political party. Alongside one political party. You cannot suspend the New York Post account. You cannot suspend the New York Post's account because you think that a story is Russian disinformation. Here's a newsflash. Putin is far less worried about Biden than he is Trump. The entire planet looks at mashed potato brains and not only laughs, but says, wow, they elected this man. Trump was unpredictable. So, and he was admired by every conservative on the planet, or independent, or even progressives secretly. Okay? I can tell you that a great many Bernie Sanders supporters secretly like Donald Trump because he actually defends himself, unlike Bernie Sanders, who gets cheated and says, "Oh, thank you, may I have another?" So they can't even run a functioning primary, and then they're, clutching pearls saying, "Oh my God, look at Trump, he's not..." They blame Russia for 4 years, and they say, "Oh my God, he doesn't accept our pristine results in a democracy." So we know if they didn't have a double standard, they wouldn't have any standard at all. Okay? Miss B, thank you. Miss B, thank you so very, very much. I hope all is well. Miss B, thank you. I mean, I would say 20% or more. It could be one day, could be 10 to 20% or more. In one day, in the market, in the Dow. So, the market's going to crash. You could see a 10 to 20% or more, spiral downwards in 1 or 2 days, one day. And there has to be a catalyst initially. And there will be. Evergrande, look, the way Biden's country, America, our country works is public relations now. So do you want to know why the market was up today? First of all, it's a casino. It's a giant racket and casino, okay? But, if you invest in dividends, if you have a lot of money and you just get dividends every month and you get the passive income, that's a different story. You really don't care about fluctuations. You're just going to get money every month from Coca-Cola and GE and whatever. You know that they're not going to go under. I'm not giving investment advice. You know that you're going to have certain companies that will always remain, always make money, always give dividends. I'm not giving investment advice. That is not a racket. That's probably the smartest thing you could do. But you'd have to be like very wealthy to get a lot of money every month. Very wealthy. Okay? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get, even $10,000. But every month. But playing the market, if you're investing long term, fine. That's responsible. But you're playing the market, you can't time it. It's just we haven't even implemented Dodd-Frank, all of it. We haven't even implemented the Dodd-Frank laws pertaining to derivatives. I'm going to write an article about this and pitch it starting the beginning of next week. So you can read my latest article in the Jerusalem Post on, "You're wrong, Dr. Rand, you're wrong." But that's below it's going to be below in the pinned comment. But you look, Hunter Biden, look. Nepotism is not bad. Nepotism is not bad. If you want to have a father and son business, you want to, make your daughter CEO or CFO and your son CEO or CFO, that's fine. That's great. It's not a problem at all. Okay? The problem is when you sell the country because your son needs money for his narcotics and your son needs money for a lifestyle that, oh my God, if it was Donald Trump Jr., all they would say is, "My God, the debauchery, oh my God." With Hunter, they try to turn him into Hunter S. Thompson. They try to make it into like, "Oh, well, he has those demons, but it's like, look, Politico also reported on a story where the Secret Service got involved. These are people who want to erase the Second Amendment. Okay, these are people who want to erase the Second Amendment because, they want a safer society, which makes no sense at all. You'd have a safer society if people were armed. It's interesting how the people who want to disarm Americans are the people who would call 911 immediately if, God forbid, they needed somebody with a firearm to protect them. But anyway, Hunter had, I'll just speak hopefully algorithmically friendly, had a 38 put in the trash because his girlfriend thought that he was going to, use it in a manner that he shouldn't. Okay, that nobody should. Okay, so, that's the way the liberals, and I understand the mentality, the way the liberals look at the Second Amendment is they should put it in the trash. Like as if no one is like, if you just take it like a banana peel and you put it in the trash, it's in the trash now. Like no one's going to open up the trash in our economy here or in any economy and try to find food. So, and guess what? It was right next to a school. It was in a dumpster or a garbage bin outside of a convenience store in Connecticut. Okay? But that's the way they are. They get away with everything. And then he lied on his application. Okay? So he about substance abuse. And if you lie, if that's a serious thing, if you lie about substance abuse, on your application to get a firearm. So anyway, that's how they roll. Do you understand? That's how they roll. And it's like they get away with everything. Look. If you or I lived like Hunter Biden, we'd already have been in prison. You can't, if Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. lived like Hunter Biden, it would be game over. You understand? But they amplify anything that harms Trump, and they suppress. It was an active attempt by Twitter to suppress actual journalism. Okay? Trump's tax returns, that's not journalism. That's the possibility that he did something wrong in an alternate universe, and we have to engage. We have to find some kind of excuse to actually get the IRS to give the Democratic Party his tax returns. They had no evidence at all that and they still can't. They have the Southern District of New York has his financial records. And they still haven't indicted or charged him because they have nothing to indict or charge him on. Because they completely lie all the time. Because they're petulant, malicious, apoplectic, hysterical, angry, frustrated, morally superior, very wonderful liberal Democrats. And they didn't get him on Trump Russia because they were touching themselves in ecstasy every day. Oh my God, Russia, Putin, Russia. Oh my God, Helsinki. They found nothing. They didn't indict anyone. Not a soul on being a Russian operative. It was process crimes because they had to find some kind of public relations victory. Because yet again, they had egg on their face. They lost in 2016. They were mortified. They found nothing with Mueller report. They had egg on their face there. Then they impeached him on the notion that he would want to investigate Biden, who was so corrupt you can't believe. They impeached him for simply asking another country if Biden might have committed a crime, which is not a problem because the attorney indicted in the Russia probe, in Durham's probe, literally worked for the Clintons and literally helped disseminate a Steele dossier that was compiled by Russian sources, allegedly. So This nonsense about Russian disinformation, all they did was obsess over the Steele dossier and try to prove it right for 4 years. And that, by the way, incidentally, didn't break Twitter protocol. Gee, I wonder why. I mean, everybody knows Twitter is propping up the Democratic Party. If you had Twitter that just allowed freedom of speech and didn't, suppress the New York Post story, if you didn't have every conceivable advantage from Jimmy Kimmel every night selling his soul to the Democratic Party, and it's not like, you know how easy it would be to debate Jimmy Kimmel on anything, on any topic. You're not talking about somebody that understands or who's even read Hunter Biden's emails, who even cares about the fact that Biden wrote the portion of the crime bill that states that actually is linked to the 100 to 1 sentencing disparity for a narcotic that his son is allegedly used. Although you better believe his son isn't going to experience the 100 to 1 sentencing disparity. So they talk about supremacy and inequality. They create the groundwork, the framework for all of this, okay? But again, you think Jimmy Kimmel's going to bring up the 10 lives, the 10 civilians lost in the military strike under Biden's administration? You think Jimmy Kimmel's going to bring up the numerous issues with immigration under Biden? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Okay? He gets away. He should have been canceled a long time ago for a skit that he did. Numerous skits. Okay? We can go on forever. Libya, what do you think Jimmy Kimmel's thoughts are on President Obama's Libya intervention? The fact that people are being bought and sold in that country because of Biden and Clinton and President Obama's intervention, which is not like there are USA Today articles on that. There's one that says thanks Hillary in USA Today. So it's like the hypocrisy is unbelievable. You have late night propping up the Democratic Party. All they do is prop up. They protect and defend their own interests under the guise of journalism or free speech. But they don't they don't promote free speech. They try to suppress any thoughts and emotions and stories linked to their own misdeeds. That's why, you have, if you were to ask Stephen Colbert or Seth Meyer to actually read Biden's son's emails or poke fun of Hunter's photos, they would never do it. You think Kimmel and Seth Meyer, you think they've looked at Hunter Biden's photos and videos? You don't think that they would have endless material if it was Donald Trump Jr.? They won't touch it, ever. Because they exist now. They're not even comedians. They exist as auxiliaries or extensions of the Democratic Party. They're not going to report. They're not going to make fun of Biden's son or Biden. They're not going to do that. They make enough money catering to half the country and dividing the country into two. Johnny Carson didn't do that. Arsenio Hall didn't do that. So that's why, you have the Emmys who don't have to abide by protocol, but you better believe every other person on the planet. I mean, look, this is also the fault of the Republican Party. I keep saying this. You investigated a Republican president. You investigated a Republican president. Then you blame Trump. Blame yourselves, people like Richard Burr. Mitch McConnell said nothing for 4 years. Don't bring me into this. Don't bring me into this. All right. AJ Batman. Mitch McConnell did nothing before. You think Democrats will investigate a Democrat? Never in a million years. Tammany Hall is a finely tuned political machine based on graft and public relations, and they've perfected this since the late 1800s. So they're not going to. You think that before Adam Schiff went after Trump, he was defending Clinton's use of servers with top secret intelligence on them. But you think that they're going to, you think that Hollywood, Twitter, and all of these people, you think they're going to talk about the New York Post story? They won't care. The New York Post story is an actual story about pay to play, enriching yourself from government, not Trump's tax returns. Okay? The reason they wanted Trump's tax returns was because they wanted to justify their completely insane Russia hoax that they obsessed over and sold their soul to. They created a Red Scare environment. They learned nothing from the McCarthy era. Like, you read about, okay, yeah, there were communists in Hollywood. There were communists, but the manner in which McCarthy, he even went after George Marshall. So that was no good. That was no good. You can't just go around accusing people of being communists, even if there are communists in government or in Hollywood. And you can't have show trials, because that's what happens in communist countries. But that's what Democrats resorted to, and they were totally fine with it. Kingdonomics! Coffee for HA. Kingdonomics, thank you! To my New Zealand viewers, thank you so very much. Kingdonomics, thank you so much. I hope all is well. Kingdonomics, thank you. Miss B, thank you. Thank you, Kingdonomics, thank you. Thank you. I mean, look, we don't have a Republican Party, whether it's Paul Ryan or Kinzinger, Cheney, who voted alongside Trump 90% of the time. You don't have a Republican Party that defends a Republican president. What do you expect? What is? I mean, you get these stupid stories. Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell told Trump that, he lost. Like, well, you know what? Let's just say, let's agree for a moment that Democrats and media are right. Trump was wrong. He should never have, disputed the results. Okay. Do you think if the tables were turned, you would have all of these books on Democrats? No, they wouldn't. They would walk in lockstep. That's the difference. And they didn't the Republicans who turn on Trump or who side with Democrats, they're not doing it for principle. They're doing it because of media coverage. God, the Democrats convince themselves that it's a moral imperative to oppose Trump, when in reality, it's actually a moral imperative to oppose them on a whole bunch of issues. Especially the fact that, they have the Lincoln Project voting alongside Bush. I mean, they have Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's people who voted against marriage equality, who were opposed marriage equality. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Wanted a marriage amendment, got us into 20 years of never-ending wars, and these people are voting alongside Bernie Sanders and AOC. Bernie Sanders and AOC and the Lincoln Project are voting for the same president, Biden, and they voted for Clinton, the same. So, again, the biggest grifters are on the left. You're talking about a grifter. You couldn't find. They can't even have a functioning primary. They cheat their own candidates in the New York mayoral contest and the DNC primaries, not only in 2016, but 2020 also. And they say nothing, and Bernie Sanders says nothing about it. There were two original sins. One was cheating Bernie Sanders in 2016. The other was preventing people from working last year, causing $4.5 trillion, when cancer and heart disease ended the lives of more people. And consistently throughout the past year and a half, Democratic-run states have the worst outcomes. New York and New Jersey, God bless the people of New York and New Jersey, they're going after Florida. They never went after New York and New Jersey. They should give Ron DeSantis an Emmy. They gave Cuomo an Emmy. Ron DeSantis has better numbers across the board than New York. Like I said, God bless the people of New York. I love New York, but look, you want to talk about Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy. This is the completely irrational mentality. He got an Emmy for putting infected people in nursing homes. The absolute worst thing you could do. If you wanted to do something, you couldn't find something more diabolical to do than do that. And he did that. And he got an Emmy for it. It's pretty amazing that, I mean, with Bernie Sanders in Iowa last year, there was an app linked to Clinton, the former Clinton associates. Like, give me a break. It's unbelievable. It's like completely unbelievable. But that's how they roll. That's how they do things. That is how they do things. Favorability ratings between Biden and Trump are tied now. It took less than a year, and it's only going to get worse. We're going to have a crash. We're going to have a stock market crash. And I've been telling everyone this long before the correction mini crash of the other day, 921 points at one point. I mean, that was just almost 1,000 points, and you know, that was from Evergrande, the second largest real estate company in China. Almost going under, defaulting or possibly defaulting on $300 billion in loans. And then the market was up today because they made an interest payment. It's like, whoa. You don't know if they're going to keep making their interest payments on these loans. So why are you so happy? But that's the thing. It's kind of like, it's this racket, you know? It's a racket. We have a society that's fueled by liberal ideology of emotion, not necessarily logic. Emotion. You cannot express yourself anymore in American society because of the emotions, the apoplectic, morally superior sensibilities of liberal Democrats. They have to redefine words. See, before 2016, there was something called a dictionary, and a thesaurus. And words existed, and semantics and the meaning of words and definitions existed, and we were fine as a country, as a planet. We could actually communicate. Now you can't communicate. Now, so that's the way they think. Richard, thank you. McEwen, thank you so very much. Richard, thank you so very much. To my viewers in the UK, thank you. Richard, thank you so very much. I hope all is well. Richard. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Richard, thanks so much. Greatly appreciated. Norman! Dems corruption as a business model is how we ended up here. Yep, it's true. It's a pretty lucrative business model. They have it down. They have it down. And you know what I'll say? I'll at least say this. You look at politicians in other countries. I don't like. In the UK, you have to, or any country, not just every other country, but our country. You actually have to communicate without slurring words and speech. Mashed potato brains slurs his speech. Does this make any sense at all? This could never happen in another country. They make fun of Boris Johnson, but he's pretty eloquent. You know, he's eloquent and, can communicate very well. Sorry about the chat disconnecting here and there, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Thank you. Richard, thank you again. Norman, thank you. Okay, imagine if Biden were British and he had to debate Boris Johnson, okay, it wouldn't work out. It wouldn't work out. And although it's like he told the world to grow up regarding climate change, it's like, it's easy for wealthy nations to talk about growing up when you're just starting off or you're trying to get out of poverty. Richard, thank you so very much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. But with Trump, you had half of everybody in every country admire him, like him, okay? Conservatives in the UK like Trump. Conservatives everywhere like Trump. In India, everywhere. Do liberals really love or admire or like even Biden in the UK or in Australia or anywhere? Do you think mashed potato brains is admired by anyone? Mariah! Hi, handsome. Hope you're having a great night. Thank you so very much, Mariah. Doing well. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you, Mariah. Do you think that... Thank you again, Mariah. Thank you. Do you think that mashed potato brains is admired? Do you think that he's admired? Do you think that he's admired or, like, that people respect his decision making? You think they respect his... Do you think they say, okay, well, here's a man who's accomplished a great deal? Okay? They don't say that. They just say, thank God Trump's not in office. That's all they say. That's all they say. Mariah, thank you again. Norman, Richard, thank you so very much. Is there anyone... Kingdonomics, thank you. Is there anyone that respects mashed potato brain? Do you think that they say, wow, he's a great leader? He has a vision. What is his vision? I don't know. It seems like he wants to actively ruin the country. I don't know. You tell me what his vision is. What's his vision? Trump had numerous goals. He wanted to address the trade imbalance and other trade issues with China. Okay? He was doing that. He implemented tariffs that Biden has not he hasn't reversed those tariffs. Why? Because he can't. Because even Biden knows Trump was right. Okay? So he hasn't even reversed the tariffs that Democrats said, oh my God, it was like the most horrible thing in the world. Biden's policies regarding a whole bunch of things are very cruel. Now, was Trump right about everything? No, but he fixed one of the policies in 2018. Okay, I was against the separation policy. That was bad, very bad. But he ended that 2018. The same types of things and worse are taking place right now. And they took place in President Obama's administration, but you don't hear about it. Then we had Afghanistan. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. But Biden wanted to spite Trump. Biden wanted to spite Trump and didn't implement the Doha Agreement. And so that's why we have the issue. You know, that's why we had, when you use the T-ban, we'll call them the T-ban. When you use the T-ban for, security, okay, Trump would never have done that. He would never, ever have done that. What kind of imbecile goes and says, hey, T-ban, we'll just call them that in Afghanistan, help us, we're going to give you a list of American names and Afghan names. Here's a list. I'm sure you won't misuse this information. Can you imagine? And we left Americans behind. Could you imagine? I mean, who does this? It's almost as if he's trying hard to ruin the country. But again, see, they don't care. Their lives, the only thing they care about is that Trump isn't in office. We're going to have, God forbid, hopefully we don't, but we will, a stock market crash. It could be next week. It could be March of next year. But eventually people will realize, oh my God, greatest margin debt in history, derivatives that'll tank hedge funds just like Archegos. You know, I talk endlessly about Archegos, then people are going to start talking about Archegos. Hedge fund that went under, derivatives, tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars in derivatives trades that aren't regulated, where we don't know the debt and the margin associated with these contracts because they don't have to inform the SEC of the underlying stock. So we have no clue. We have no clue the level of debt that these hedge funds have. $10 billion. $10 billion in 1 week. I'm not making it up. $10 billion. 1 week was lost. Bill Wang, the hedge fund, the guy who started Archegos hedge fund, lost, well, it's paper wealth, but $20 billion in 2 days. Okay? Ever lost a $20 bill? Like, oh, where's my $20 bill? This is ridiculous. He lost $20 billion in 2 days because he was being loaned money from Credit Suisse and Nomura and Morgan Stanley and others. He was being loaned money to buy risky derivatives, and nobody knew the extent of risk. The risk management stinks. Our risk management in banking and the stock market and in our financial system is like, I don't know, like Hunter Biden giving a motivational speech, or Jeffrey Dahmer, like, you know, giving a giving like cooking recipes, whatever. I was gonna say Iron Chef, but that's a little bit bizarre. My point is, we don't know the amount of risk that we have, and the catalyst could be anything. I mean, Evergrande in China, they say, oh well, they're gonna pay their interest payment. Everything's fine. They're not going to immediately default on $300 billion in loans, but that's not the only country. That's not the only company. It was a real estate bubble. Not the only company. There are other companies too. There are other companies too. It's not the only company. So, I don't know. The only thing, like I say, look. The only thing I say is the following, okay? Make sure your life is filled with love, happiness, success, health, wealth. The trajectory of your life should be upwards every day. Richard, everybody here, thank you. Every single day, you should be happier than the day before, okay? Because, unfortunately, this country is going to descend into further chaos. Well, I don't want to talk like that, but we're going to experience a bumpy ride with Biden. I think that we're going to have a financial collapse from a stock market crash. Because, subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I talk about it every single day. We have inflation, runaway inflation. The Fed chairman talked about, like, inflation that is far lower than what a great many people are saying. It's over 5% now, year over year. So I don't know. They keep on saying, well, next year is going to be 2%. How is that possible? You tell me. Is that possible? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. He's the economist. He's the brilliant economist, not me. Does that make any sense at all? If it's over 5% now, and we have, they say, bottlenecks, shortages, supply chain, bottlenecks. Like, well, how do you know how do you know all of these things are going to just sort themselves out by next year? We have a labor shortage, and we have unemployment claims up. You tell me, is that normal? Does that make any sense? The consumer price index, producer price index, as Bernie Sanders says, the Baltic Dry Shipping Index, is all at highs not seen since 2008. Does this make any sense? Derivative trades, we haven't implemented Dodd-Frank. Oh, and they're changing LIBOR to SOFR. Okay? That's a whole big issue there. Okay? That is going to be huge. All right, so I mean, there's like so many issues. Norman, may all beings be at ease. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Norman. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Norman. Absolutely. Thank you. Then we have the greatest margin debt in the history of the country. Norman, thank you. We have the greatest credit card debt. I was just looking the other day. Greatest credit card debt ever in the history of the country because people have had to, because they shut down society, put money on their credit cards. I mean, it's all you need. If we have another Archegos in this country or Evergrande, it's game over, man. It's like in Aliens 2. Game over, man. Game over. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I was a bit late this evening, but everybody here, Maria, Norman, Richard, everyone here, thank you so very, very much. Be here tomorrow. Florida Man Bear, hello. Be here tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. I'm going to do a live stream every day at 6:30 p.m. If for some reason I can't at 6:30, it'll be like 5:30 or 5. But at 6:30 p.m., be here tomorrow. 6:30 p.m. every day. And then a later live stream. And then the uploads, I will start doing more uploads on the Stock Market Crash channel. So when you type in Stock Market Crash, you actually get my channel on YouTube, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's not a big channel at all. It's only 17,000 subs. So tell your friends about it. The Stock Market Crash channel. Be here at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Kingdonomics, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Eric, Luke, thank you so much. Get some rest. Have a beautiful day. God bless.